In 1999, The Matrix took one of philosophy's oldest questions, wrapped it in black leather, and turned it into an action movie. What if everything you see, hear, and touch is not the world itself, but information being fed directly into your brain? What if your memories are artificial, your choices are anticipated, and the body you believe is walking through reality has never actually stood up? The film's answer is that humanity has already lost a war against intelligent machines. Most humans are imprisoned inside artificial pods, their minds connected to a simulated world called the Matrix. They go to work, fall in love, experience fear, and grow old without realizing that none of their surroundings physically exist. And why are the machines maintaining this enormous illusion? Energy. In the film, human beings are grown like crops so that machines can harvest their bioelectricity and body heat. The most famous battery in science fiction is not a machine, it is you. There's only one problem though. As a source of energy, a human being is absolutely terrible. A body does not create energy from nothing. It takes chemical energy from food, combines it with oxygen, and converts it into movement, heat, repair, circulation, and thought. If machines had to grow food, maintain the pods, and keep billions of human bodies alive merely to recover a fraction of that energy, they would almost certainly spend more power than they received. It would be like trying to charge a battery by plugging it into itself. So, the central energy system of one of the most revolutionary science fiction films ever made does not make much scientific sense. But its mistake creates a far more interesting question. How much energy does a human being actually use? How much electricity travels through your nerves? How much power does your brain consume while constructing the reality you experience? And if we attempted to reproduce that brain inside a computer, why might the machine require millions of times more power than the biological object it was copying? The Matrix imagined that the human body contains enough spare electricity to power civilization. Reality is far stranger than that, because the energy inside your body is not waiting to be harvested, it is already being spent on understanding this sentence. This sentence is costing you energy. Not metaphorical energy, not motivation, actual, measurable, physical energy. As you hear these words, ions are moving across the membranes of neurons, chemical gradients are being restored, and blood is carrying oxygen and glucose into a 3-pound object inside your skull that somehow produces color, memory, fear, music, and the private sensation of being you. And it does all of that on roughly 20 watts. 20 watts is less than many light bulbs. It is about what a small LED lamp uses. Yet, somewhere inside those 20 watts is every face you remember, every lie you've rehearsed, every dream you have forgotten, and the ability to wonder how 20 watts could possibly be enough. Now, compare that with Frontier, one of the most powerful supercomputers ever built. Frontier can consume around 21 megawatts. That is more than 1,000,000 times the brain's power budget. But Frontier is not a human brain in a metal box. It was not built to recreate consciousness, and there is no honest single answer to how much electricity a computer would need to reproduce a brain, because reproduce could mean copying its outputs, simulating every neuron, modeling every molecule, or creating an actual mind. Those are not the same task. Still, the contrast is unsettling. Our machines can require the electricity of a small city, while your brain runs on less power than the bulb above your head. But your brain is not alone. Your heart contracts because charged particles move across cell membranes. Your muscles move because nerves trigger electrical changes. Some nerve impulses crawl at less than 1 meter per second, while heavily insulated fibers can approach 150 meters per second. The signal is electrical, but not like electricity racing through copper. It is a self-rebuilding electrochemical wave made from sodium and potassium ions crossing microscopic gates. So your body runs on electricity, which raises the obvious question and the title of this video: can you charge your phone with it? Technically, your body contains more than enough energy. Practically, the electricity visible on the surface of your skin is absurdly weak. A normal electrocardiogram signal is commonly around 1 millivolt. Your nervous system is not hiding a USB port, come on. Its electrical activity is information carried by tiny controlled changes in voltage, not a spare stream of power waiting to be harvested. Devices can collect small amounts from body heat, sweat and movement, but the signals themselves are valuable precisely because they are delicate. Pulling useful power from them would be like trying to run a city by siphoning electricity from a text message. But perhaps the question is wrong. Maybe the important question is not whether your body has electricity. Maybe it is whether your body has energy. And what is energy? Physicist Richard Feynman once wrote, "In physics today, we have no knowledge of what energy is." Come on, that sounds ridiculous. Physicists can calculate energy with terrifying precision. It can tell us how much is stored in a stretched spring, a moving car, a chemical bond, or an atomic nucleus. Yet Feynman's point was that energy is not necessarily a little substance hiding inside things. It is an abstract quantity that can change forms while the total remains conserved. We know its bookkeeping rules better than we know what the book is about. A joule measures energy, a watt does not. A watt measures the rate at which energy is transferred. 1 watt means 1 joule every second. A calorie is another unit of energy. 1 small calorie equals 4.184 joules, but the calorie printed on food packaging is usually a kilocalorie, 1000 small calories. So when someone says that 1 gram of uranium contains billions of calories, the statement may be true only because the word calorie has quietly changed size. If you consume 2000 food calories in one day, you have taken in about 8.4 million joules. Spread across 24 hours, that is an average metabolic rate of roughly 97 watts. In that limited sense, a human being is approximately a 100-watt machine. You are a warm biological lamp that can become anxious. 1 gram of uranium-235, if completely fissioned, releases roughly 1 megawatt day of energy. That is about 86 billion joules or more than 20 million food calories. Enough energy in nutritional terms to feed one person for decades. Of course, eating uranium would not make you immortal. Your body can break chemical bonds in food. It cannot run controlled nuclear fission inside your stomach. And that, my friends, explains a very significant point. Energy can be present and still be completely unavailable to you. So let us invent 4 rules for power. Rule number 1. Power is not how much energy you possess, it is how quickly you can release it. A battery may store more energy than a firecracker, but the firecracker releases its energy almost instantly. The same person can average around 100 metabolic watts across a day and briefly produce far more during intense exercise. Energy is the budget, power is the spending speed. Rule number 2. Energy only matters to a system if the system can access it. Sunlight passes over fuel without igniting it. Uranium passes through a digestive system without becoming breakfast. Your body contains chemical energy that your phone cannot directly use. From the perspective of a machine, inaccessible energy might as well belong to another universe. Rule number 3. Useful energy requires a difference. Electric current needs a voltage difference. Heat flows because one place is hotter than another. Wind arises from differences in pressure. A neuron works because the concentrations of charged ions are unequal on opposite sides of its membranes. Your cells spend energy maintaining those inequalities. Once the difference disappears, the flow stops. Rule number 4. The greatest power is not merely releasing energy, it is directing where the energy goes. The sun releases vastly more energy than your brain, but the sun cannot choose to write a sentence. Uranium contains more energy per gram than food, but it cannot use that energy to remember a childhood bedroom. Your brain's 20 watts matter not because 20 is a large number, but because the energy is channeled through an arrangement capable of language, prediction, and choice. Using these rules, life begins to look surprisingly simple. A living organism is a machine that captures accessible energy, uses differences to create flows, and directs those flows toward maintaining itself. Your body is filled with borders. The inside of a cell is chemically different from the outside. Your lungs keep one mixture of gases in your blood and another in the room. Your skin maintains a warmer, wetter, and more organized interior against an environment constantly trying to equalize it. You eat because the arrangement cannot maintain itself for free. You breathe because the gradients must be renewed. You sleep because repair itself costs energy. In 1944, Erwin Schrödinger asked, "How does the living organism avoid decay?" His answer was almost offensively ordinary: by eating, drinking, breathing, and for plants, assimilating. Metabolism means exchange. Life stays ordered by taking in useful energy and exporting disorder to its surroundings. It does not defeat the tendency toward equilibrium. It survives by never becoming a closed system. So perhaps death is not the moment a body runs out of energy. A body, moments after death, still contains warmth, fat, chemical bonds, and atoms. The energy has not vanished. What has vanished is the coordinated process that keeps spending energy on being that particular body. Ion gradients collapse. Temperatures equalize, membranes fail, chemistry continues, but it is no longer being directed towards preserving the organism. Death is not the absence of energy, it is the loss of authority over that energy. And that sounds profound enough to be true, but it creates another problem. If you are not the energy in your body, because the energy is constantly entering and leaving, and you are not simply the matter in your body, because atoms are continually replaced, then what exactly are you? Cybernetics pioneer Norbert Wiener wrote, "We are not the stuff that abides, but patterns that perpetuate themselves. A whirlpool persists while the water composing it changes. A flame keeps its shape while consuming new fuel. Perhaps a person is similar. Not a permanent collection of particles, but a pattern that continually rebuilds itself from different material. The food you ate becomes tissue. The air you inhaled enters your blood. Matter passes through you, yet the pattern says, somehow this is still me." And if that is true, a terrifying possibility appears. If the pattern could be copied perfectly into a computer, would the copy be you? It might remember your life, it might insist that it is conscious, it might recognize your friends, fear deletion, and finish your sentences. But if the original you remained alive, decided, there would now be two patterns making the same claim. They could not both occupy your single part of you. So perhaps identity is not only information, perhaps continuity matters. Or perhaps there is no single permanent self to preserve in the first place. Our four rules seem to explain a great deal. They explain why uranium cannot feed you, why nerves cannot meaningfully charge a phone, why watts and calories are not interchangeable, and why living things must continually consume energy to remain organized. They may even seem to explain what a person is, but they do not. We cheated. The word power changed meaning while we were not looking. In physics, power is the energy transferred per second. In ordinary language, power means control, agency, or influence. We quietly treated these definitions as one idea. Then we used that confusion to make the brain seem more powerful than the sun because it can direct energy. But a river directs energy through a valley, a hurricane organizes heat into motion, a crystal directs atoms into a pattern. None of them necessarily chooses anything. Organization is not intention. Persistence is not identity. Computation is not automatically consciousness. The rules explain how a brain remains physically active. They do not explain why activity feels like anything from the inside. 20 watts tell us the metabolic cost of the brain, but not the meaning of the thought. A love letter and a death threat can require almost identical energy to display. A scream and a song can move similar amounts of air. Physics measures the carrier beautifully, while remaining silent about what is being carried. So, circling back to the title of this video, can your body charge your phone? Not usefully through its nerve signals. Those signals are not spare electricity. They are part of the process by which your body controls muscles, senses the world, and maintains the organized differences that keep you alive. You could charge a phone by pedaling a generator, harvesting movement, or converting some body heat, but you would not be discovering free energy. You would merely be redirecting energy that came from food. The strange thing was never that your brain runs on 20 watts. The strange thing is that 20 watts can become a question about 20 watts. Energy existed long before anything was alive to measure it. Stars burned, atoms collided, and entire galaxies formed without wondering what any of it meant. Then, somewhere on one small planet, matter arranged itself into a pattern that could look back at the universe and ask what energy is. Feynman admitted that we do not truly know. Schrödinger explained how life keeps the questioner from reaching equilibrium. And Wiener suggested that the questioner is a pattern rather than permanent stuff. And none of them could tell us why the pattern experiences being here. Perhaps your body cannot charge your phone because the electricity inside it is already occupied, not by something more powerful, but by something far stranger. It is busy being you.